So there are also, we talked about Bitcoin cryptocurrency as a unit of a store of value or a medium of exchange, a cash, a currency, a store of value where you can transfer value from one person to another. There are also things called smart contracts. So Bitcoin is again kind of the granddaddy of all cryptocurrencies, but there are also things that are called smart contracts, which the simplest example of a smart contract is if you put 50 cents into a Coke machine, you put the 50 cents in, you hit the number for the drink you want, a drink comes out, right? So it's something that happens without somebody else, doing anything. Once the requirements for the contract to be fulfilled are met, the contract executes.
It's an executory contract.
It's an executory contract. It executes itself, and that's really, I mean, the things that can be done with smart contracts are mind blowing. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that can happen. Like, if you can digitize an asset like a vehicle, say, like right now you've got a title for your car, and that's the instrument of ownership. Is that right?
Literally, a piece of paper is what you have to prove that in this day and age, we still have a piece of paper that you will get in the mail that says you own that
Right.
big hunking metal thing out in your driveway. Yeah.
So you can, with the technology we have today with smart contracts, you can digitize the ownership of your car and put it on the blockchain. And you could, if you put it up for sale, you could create a smart contract that said, okay, if anybody pays me $10,000 for this car, the ownership of this car will transfer from me to you. So that would be the requirements for the contract to be met if it was that simple. And you may need, insurance and other stuff like that. You may need a bank involved. All that could be built into the smart contract. But let's just say a really simple one would be, if you pay me $10,000, this car becomes yours. I could transfer $10,000 worth of Bitcoin to that smart contract. It would execute the transfer. The ownership would transfer from you to me, and it would be done. And that would be the proof.
We would never have to see each other. We would never deal with one another. We would never have a signature.
Yeah.
No checks involved.
Yeah, and that would be way more secure than what we do right now, which goes through all kinds of rigmarole
Don't have
to get
take it to the DMV. And
none of that stuff. It just happens on chain through a smart contract. And so those are really cool iteration. And Ethereum is the main smart contract provider that everybody knows. There are lots of platforms out there that do smart contracts, but Ethereum is the most famous one. It's the number 2 cryptocurrency today. But it's logic-driven inputs and outputs. So you just say, if this requirement is met, then the contract is executed in this way. I mean, that's really all it is.
To the extent that you can actually construct a logical contract for a transaction, then it is the most efficient way you could do it.
Yeah.
But there's lots of things in this world that it doesn't make sense for.
Yeah.
But there's lots of things that it does.
Yeah.
I mean, even voting is maybe not smart contract related, but to some extent. But yeah, it's not going to fit. It's not going to fit every purpose. Mm-hmm. But there are lots of things, lots of slack in our system that could be, as you said, digitized, and the utilization of smart contracts that would probably put some of those lawyers out of work. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean, but you would still need it. Well, I think what it would do is it would automate more of the menial tasks, that a lot of lawyers have to do, or a lot of the menial tasks that bankers have to do. And, it would enable us to increase our human capital to do things that are much higher value.
Well, and the truth of it is that there's a lot of this technology that can be used, that could be running behind the scenes, but from a user interface would never know.
Yeah.
It's like dealing with Coinbase. It's so simple. You're just pushing a button a couple times, and you've done it.
Yeah.
It's not. There's nothing overly technological about it to me on my end, but on the back end of it is where all the work's being done. And I think that's whenever you're going to see so much more adoption of this, is whenever these real life use cases come about, and people don't have to see the sausage being made, behind the curtain. All they need to know is, I got my car.
Right.
Found my car.
Right, I got it.
I bought it. It took me about 30 seconds.
So, to buy it. And it cost me a few cents to make the transaction happen, versus days and tens of dollars or hundreds of dollars, or whatever
if there's a lien on there.
Yeah,
on
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Like, what the ownership of things is completely provable. You don't have to worry. There's no more title searches. Sorry, title companies. You don't. There's no worry about it. You just look at the blockchain and you can tell who owns it. And
Well,
it's-
but the title company, again, sort of like the bank, if they embrace it, then they
Yeah.
are needed because
Sure,
they're the ones
yeah.
searching the blockchain
They
for
could
some
be
of
integrated
this.
into the smart contract. It pays title company.
Right,
or-
because there would still be liens. There could still be liens on it, but
Yeah.
it would just be very easy to tell because you
Mm-hmm.
can see, okay, a bank, there's a mortgage on this, and
Right.
in this smart contract on the ownership of
pays
this
the bank
car.
this much, pays you this much.
Right, yeah.
Then
There's
transfers
the
ownership.
the ownership. So if I buy his car, but I've borrowed money from a bank, there's now a lien in the smart contract on the ownership of. So it's not fully mine yet. In order for me to get full ownership of it, the bank will have to release their lien on it once I pay them off, and then they'll release their lien. Then it'll be truly mine and unencumbered.
Yeah.
But that would be completely transparent on the blockchain. So. Then another thing is Oracle. So there's kind of a new, I guess relatively new. They've known that this was a problem for a while, but oracles, and what oracles are is this would come into play more with something like insurance. So if you had an insurance claim, like if your house burned down, how do you let a smart contract know that your house burned down? That's not something that's so easy to do in a digital way. You can't, like a smart contract can't go look at your house and see if it's there or not. So there would have to be a way that you can, and that's what oracles do, that try to get real world information that's out there. Who won the ball game last night in the case of sports betting or political betting, futures betting on certain things.
I gotta say, Oracle makes me think of Lord of the Rings. So I'm just thinking,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
a really special person that gets to wear some sort of crown or have a staff. Or
Right.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Right. Yeah.
But by Oracle, you just mean someone that can,
Or something that can.
someone or something that
Ties
can
real world
validate,
into the
right.
blockchain.
Yeah.
right there. So you have to have
Real
that
world
interface there at
events.
some point.
Yeah,
You
there's
can't
gotta be.
completely replace.
All right.
Sure.
Not for everything, and,
Yeah.
and again, like you said, there are certain use cases for it that make sense, and certain ones that don't. And so I think that's where you have to make a value judgment on, is this a good use case for blockchain technology, or is it not? And insurance is a good one, I think. Transfer of title, transfer of ownership through smart contracts is a great use case for it. Currency is a great use case for it. Store of value is a great use case for it.